John W. Graham, 1858 to 1937. John Graham was born in England in 1858, and he was generally known as Jack. I couldn't find much about John Graham, but I know that he immigrated to the United States and lived in Shenango, Lawrence County, Pennsylvania. Later, he married Mary A. Brunt, a French Canadian, and together they had a son, John, and 3 daughters, Margaret, Florence, and Elizabeth. Jack was an inspector for the Shelby Steel Tube Works, owned by the U.S. Steel Corporation in Ellwood, Pennsylvania, for 35 years. He worked there for 35 years. Ellwood City is a small borough lying 30 miles northwest of Pittsburgh and 8 miles southeast of Newcastle, within the Newcastle micropolitan area. It is primarily in Lawrence County, but it has a small district in Beaver County. It was designed by Henry Hartman, who named it after his best friend Isaac Ellwood, one of the inventors of barbed wire. In the past, Ellwood City sustained many heavy industries, including steel tube mills, steel car works, building stone and limestone quarries, foundries and machine shops, and coal mining. The city has historically manufactured steel for bicycles. In 1910, Ellwood City had a population of almost 4,000 people, and by 1920, the population was almost 9,000 people. The population peaked in 1950 at 13,000 people, but by 2020, the population had shrunk to a little over 7,500 people. The U.S. Steel Corporation, owned by Shelby Steel Tube Works, produced tubes and pipes of various configurations. Raw materials are formed into solid round bars known as billets, or rectangular steel slabs known as scalps, which are then processed using welding techniques. Ellwood City grew rapidly with the development of success of the seamless tube industry, and many new immigrants arrived from Italy, Germany, and other European regions to work at the mill, which remained until the 1980s, after which it was closed. In 1917, the medical profession had the pulmotor, a device used in the early 1900s, which was the forerunner of modern mechanical ventilators. It used pressure from a tank of compressed oxygen to operate a valve system that alternately forced air into and out of a person's airway, using it to alternate positive and negative air pressure. It was designed to resuscitate the victims of mine disasters and also became popular for victims of smoke inhalation, drowning, and electric shock. On February 8, 1917, Howard Lutz, age 24, and David Crothers had been sent into a gas flue to do some repair work at the plant of Shelby Steel Tube. A gas leak had been discovered some time ago, and it was the duty of the 2 men to repair this. Other leaks were supposed to have been found, but one had been missed. And while they were doing their repairs, gas fumes soon overcame both men. While doing his inspections, Jack discovered the men unconscious by the fumes. He crawled into the flue in an attempt to rescue them. He was in turn overcome by the gas and was rescued with difficulty by other workmen. Jack was revived by the pulmotor and taken to an emergency hospital at the Shelby plant. Jack was one of 4 men who received the Carnegie Hero Fund Commission Medal for becoming ill and taking part in the saving of Lutz and Crothers. David Crothers had been unconscious for some time when he was dragged from the flue, but he was ultimately revived. He was rushed to the Ellwood City Hospital, where his condition was regarded as serious, and physicians had doubts about whether he would be able to survive, but he did. Howard Lutz was dead when he was taken from the flu. Although physicians worked with him for over an hour with the pulmotor, he could not be revived. Howard had been married for a little over a year and left no children. He was survived by his wife, parents, and 11 brothers and sisters, and was buried at the Slippery Rock Cemetery. At age 79, Jack was visiting his daughter in North Plainfield, New Jersey. After a week, he fell ill. He was ill for 2 more weeks when he died at his daughter's house on June 6, 1937. He is buried with Mary in Locust Grove Cemetery, Ellwood City. Mary died in 1930 of heart disease. David Crothers lived on to the age of 65. On June 7, 1940, when living at the Lawrence County Poor Farm, he had dementia, and he had jumped from a 3rd-story window of the home and died. It's a short story, and I couldn't find much about this simple, hard-working man who never made it into the newspapers, but was a hero nonetheless. So I want to add a little thing. I went to a postcard convention in July of 2023, and I saw this. This is your typical postcard. I liked it because of the bagpipers. This is the Highland Festival at Rothsay in New Brunswick, Canada. There's a 4-cent Canadian stamp on it. And this one is the one that intrigued me. Not because it's the musician or the composer Franz Schubert, but because of what it says on the back of it. On the back, this is postmarked August 8th, 1909, which was 8 years prior to Jack's contribution to saving Crothers and Lutz. It's postmarked in New York, New York, and it's to Mrs. P. Placer at 204.5 Taggy Street in Stapleton, Long Island, New York, care of the Kengotts. And it's addressed to M-O-T-H and Mrs. P. So I typed that out and it spelled moth, M-O-T-H. So I was like, mother of the home? Who knows? And Mrs. P. But it has a really nice, I think, homemade poem on the back. It says, because things as they are brings us two so far apart, my love, from each other. But your smile, my dear, will always be near to cheer me till we smile together. With lots of loves and kisses from someone who'll make you a missus, and that's Phil, Brooklyn. So I just thought that was so interesting because they normally sound like this one. This one is undated. It's from Canada. And they also mostly sound like this. Dear Miles and Rose, the scenery is beautiful here and the leaves are changing colors. We are in St. Andrews by the sea. Yesterday we went through the Red Scotch Church. Very pretty and interesting. The people are very friendly and helpful in New Brunswick. Love, Edna and Paul. So that's your typical postcard. And I like the love letter on this one. So I wanted to read that to you because I really didn't have a whole lot to say about John W. Graham, otherwise known as Jack. He had a son named John who served in the military, but basically I don't know much more about him than that. So I want y'all to have a good day and catch you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.